Night came. Yin managed to avoid joining King Monoma for dinner because another batch of parchments arrived for her to sign. Bakugo doesn't have any plans on leaving his room, so he's also out. Out of the question. That leaves Midoriya and Midnight to entire the Western King, and Yin could not tell that dinner will be full of Monoma's frantic laughters and the sound of him losing composure as his knight is yet to stop him from going too far. Yin wished them luck, but Midoriya and Midnight seized at their playful before walking away in defeat. After hasn't heard from them. After that, right now, Yin is back to her desk. Her room lit with candles, creating a mellow atmosphere. The moonlight poured from her window, adding the additional brightness in her room. And Yin enjoyed working in this kind of atmosphere. Bin is currently asleep on her bed and kept her company. Lady Kimmy hasn't found out that he's here. Her hands worked tirelessly as she signed parchment after parchment. She only stopped when she got to the next parchment. A document entailed for Bakugou to sign got mixed up in her pile. She checked on the untouched parchment to see if there is still more documents that she got left. She found 4 more documents intended for Bakugou. Yin signed and looked around for Uraka, but the brunette is nowhere to be seen, so Yin decided to deliver the parchments to Bakugou herself. Good evening, Your Majesty. The ladies who passed her stopped and curtsied. Yin gave them a nod while she continued walking. Then she heard them giggle. Oh, she's going to His Majesty's room. Yin heard them say. She's merely sighed as she continued. I guess that will be a good reminder to just stop by and talk later. She neared Bakugou's room and passed his study. Yin heard chattering noise and stopped. She raised a brow and considered possibly that Bakugo might have got out of his room and managed into his study, so Yin decided to take a look. She didn't knock and opened the door slowly. Are you here? She asked softly and stepped in only to meet with the sight of Bakugo standing and breathing heavily. He looked at her while Yin followed his gaze. He has seen the floor and saw shards of glass and spilled alcohol. What? Yin looked back at him and only to see that his hand is bleeding, the other picking off the stuff out. It's nothing. He brushed her off. It's not nothing. Yin scoffed and threw the parchments on his desk. Please sit down. Huh? This is nothing compared to some other injuries I've had before. Just sit down. Her voice held a tone of financially as she looked around, found a pitcher of water on the small table by the window. There was also a basket of fruit with cloth covering it. Yin grabbed the pitcher and cloth. She then went to Bakugo, all the while carefully avoiding the glass shards. What are you doing? He asked her rather lazily. Yin could smell the alcohol in his breath, as usual his favorite, scotch. Do you feel any shards stuck in your palm or fingers? She asked. She's not an expert, but at least she knows how to clean a wound. Bakugo answered, No, I picked them out. Aren't you supposed to have dinner with the extra? Yin raised a brow as to whom he's referring to, but soon realized that he's talking about Monoma. She then grabbed his hand and poured water all over it. I got busy with paperwork, she answered. Good for you. No one can stand that man. She almost smirked. Yin grabbed the hem of her dress with her free hand and used it to gently wipe the blood off his palm and her fingers. You know, most women here can't even stand a single tea stain in their dress. And here you are, using it to wipe my blood. He bantered with a smirk, obviously because of the alcohol. It's just a dress, Your Majesty. Yin huffed and reached for the cloth. She did not notice that his smirk fell, and now he's staring at her with narrow eyes. Oi, Sparkles, he called. Yin did not look at him and proceeded in wrapping his hand with the cloth. I've noticed something. Ever since you came back here, you've never called me by my name. Yin tied the last knot and paused. She looked into his eyes only to avoid it after. Is that so? She almost stuttered, but coughed it up and stood straight. I haven't realized. Yin is confused as to why he suddenly brought that up, as if it affected him so much that she couldn't help but say his name. For Bakugo, something like this was a title. Maybe it's the alcohol that's making him bladder. more than usual in these unexpected words. Yeah, why is that? I never really noticed it, Your Majesty, and I do not know why. There you go again, and I told you to never call me that, right? It's fucking cheesy and all. Yin did not say a word. He looked up at her. I was right. You're still scared of me, he asked. Yin's eyes widened a bit, and she blinked. Even she herself cannot confirm if she's still scared of him. Many things happened ever since she came back here and decided to start a coup. She can definitely recall the times in which he did the same things, really boiled her head and hurried her further into developing the coup. But Yin can also remember the times in which he accidentally decided to act differently from what she has branded him as, a man whose anger overpowers him every day. She saw how he almost broke from pressure. She saw how he felt that he owned her. And currently, she saw how he scrambled in his trauma. I'm not scared of you anymore. She lied, then let out a soft laugh. Instead, you frustrate me with stubbornness. The feeling is mutual, Sparkles. He wears a grin again. You kept testing my patience. I tried to put you down, but you come back. Well, isn't it unfortunate that two stubborn people are tied down together for eternity as husband and wife? He scoffed and let out a chuckle. Marriage. I hate it. Yin sighed and decided to sit down on the one chair that was in front of his desk. Well, I used to think that marriage is a pinnacle of someone's life, where your real happiness starts. She trailed, but now, it's not exactly like that. Yin admits, but it is odd for two married couples to talk bad about marriage. But by now, both her and Bakugo, mostly her, realize that their kind of marriage they have, a political one, is one in which happiness cannot be harvested so easily. After all, they're two strangers who really had no chance but to follow the pressure of society and marry each other without any proper prior engagement. And they started off on the wrong foot. If they really wanted happiness in this marriage, they must forge their differences, establish great communication, and understand each other, and put effort. But do they really have any time for that with their whole duties for this kingdom? After all, this is just a political marriage. Some might say and prefer it to be just like that. There's no difference. Yin and Bakugo classify their marriage as only political, nothing more. Hence why we're here now, talking bad about their own marriage. Although Yin wonders if Bakugo's indifference towards marriage merely stems from the fact that all marriages he has gone in is bound to be a political one, or is his experience with his first wife. I'm sorry, she said out of nowhere, and air between them felt a little still. Bakugo turned to her with a quizzled face, but deep down he knows what she's talking about. The fuck are you sorry for? He intended for his voice to come out harsh, but it lowered down to almost a whisper. That you have to almost see her again. This is supposed to be a moment that Bakugo should glare and shout at her frantically and for bringing up that. He's angry, very angry, but he never screamed. Not yet. He voiced out first of a scoff, a strained one, as if bitterness is trapped in his throat. He's angry. He told himself he should be angry, but even someone like him can't give that reaction forever. Not when one of his fears, pitted in the deepest part of his mind, has once again poured up to the surface, just to let it float in his thoughts again, to haunt him, just like how it used to back then. You think I'm scared? He taunted. You think I got scared because of my first wife did to me, when she almost killed me in my sleep. Yin did not know what to say. She wrecked her mind, but Bakugo started to speak again. Well, fucking hell, I might be. He scoffed again, but this time, the break in his voice was audible. And I'm so fucking angry that I'm scared. I mean, I should not. She attempted, but I did not die. She couldn't kill me. Bakugo's injured hand balled up into a fist, and he started to slam it on his desk, slow but not aggressively. But I don't understand why. Why I saw that mistress wearing her clothes again. It was like she was there. And now every time I go to sleep, I'm afraid I would wake up because suddenly I can't breathe, and she would be there, on top of me, her hands wrapped around my throat, and she looked so fucking angry. She looked like a madman, and she really wanted to kill me. Again. Ian flinched when Bakugo suddenly brought his fist down on the desk aggressively this time. I'm so fucking angry at myself for being so scared again, knowing she's not here. She won't come back, and she can't. Another slam on his fist. Kill me. Yin shot up and reached for his injured hand to stop him from worsening it more. He started bleeding again from his actions. Please, stop it, she said, and Bakugo looked at her with a glare. Yin opened her mouth only to close it again as she prepared for something to say. You're right, she gulped, careful at her words as she slowly sat down on his desk. You don't have to be scared anymore because she's not here. She's dead, and she can't kill you. She can't do anything to you anymore. Yin looked at his eyes, and there was so much anger, but as she looked deeper and drowned herself in them, she picked up the slightest pain in his eyes that he hid with his glare. And you don't have to be angry at yourself for feeling fear. I know you won't display vulnerability, but you need it. You need that vulnerability in order to measure how strong you have been. So, Yin exhaled. So I don't think you should be angry at yourself for feeling things that are human. Silence engulfed the room. Yin kept staring into his eyes as he does the same with hers. But it won't be long for realization to come in and for Baku to break from her gaze. He clicked his tongue, pulled his hand away, and stood up. You don't have to say all that, Sparkles. I'm fine. Oh. Yin looked down. At least a thank you would have suffice. If not for her comfort, then it should be stopping him from abusing his already injured hand. He clicked his tongue again and went around his desk to stand in front of Yin. Don't mention this to anyone else, he said while leaning to her. Yin nodded and realized their position is not the most ideal with her sitting on his desk and him towering over her. She expected Bakugo to break eye contact and go out, but he didn't. Yin gulped when he continued to stare at her. You know, you're no different, he said. His voice dropped an octave. What? Yin managed not to stutter. You also damned my mind into frustration. That sometimes I don't think I can control myself. I ever saw you like this again. Yin held her breath, and the hand she had on the edge of the desk tightened. Get out. Before I even can do anything. Yin breathed out and got off the desk. She rushed to the door and out in the hallway, to which she could finally stop and think. What just happened?